When you have 3 games like this, what do you kind of do now? You go on the road. Does going on the road kind of collect the guys up and make them kind of get a little bit more, not more serious, but just more focused?
Yeah, I think obviously the competition will step up, but you just play the game that's before you. I really liked our activity. I like how we shared the ball tonight. I liked how, again, energized and alert or active we were defensively, and didn't play the score once it stretched out to that level. But knowing that, of course, you're going into a really high-quality tournament with very good teams, and you'll have to play again 40 minutes. It'll take the majority of the game to be successful in those settings.
Good to see Dre get going, obviously, even though he did pick up those 2 early fouls. How good was that to see him get going?
Yeah.
And important for you guys, especially heading into next week.
Yeah, no, it was nice to see him knock down some shots. It's just, Bach and I were talking, good to see the ball go through the hoop. You know, they laid off a Kihei, and he kept taking them, made a couple threes, and then it just loosened it up. But to see DeAndre, that'll open up anybody's game, especially him, when you can be a threat from the 3, and then, the drives open up and the pull-ups and all that. But I thought he was assertive, but there was an unselfishness with aggressiveness that was the right balance, the way we played and the way the ball moved and the way in which we cut.
We saw a lot of the 2-2-1 press, and there was a little bit of that in the first 2 games, but this was used more consistently. And was there a little bit of zone? What did you see defensively today that you liked, and what do you still feel like you need to work on the road?
Yeah, I mean, we tried to, again, be as active as we can, and at times, whether it's after a make or a 3-quarter or after a free throw, we might set up in a 3-quarter court just to either kill some clock or if there's opportunities to trap. So just trying to do that, and again, it doesn't take away our core is our core, but those are little things that we're just, I guess, adjusting or tinkering around with to see if it can be effective for us. And if DeAndre's at the point of that, he's long and makes people maybe play back and forth over the top and kills a little time.
First of all, what's up with Jack?
Jack, I should have asked Ethan Okay, back stiffness. You heard it from the man. But no, in practice yesterday, he irritated his back, and we decided to hold him heading into this tournament. And so back stiffness. I need to find out a little more about it. But he's had some issues with his back in the past. So he said he felt better today than he did yesterday. So hopefully it's progressing in the right direction. But that's all I got.
And we saw him pretty early tonight, and the crowd obviously loves when Jay comes in the game. Where is he in kind of living up to what you want on both ends and all that stuff? He's obviously gifted offensively.
Yeah, no, you saw some nice plays, and when he's on the floor, we do some different things offensively. He's a threat with the 3 ball and has some skills. And defensively, he's just got to keep coming. When the game's physical or there's, hard play at the glass, the ability to rebound and be active, I think he's coming, because if he can keep being solid defensively, then he gives you some threats offensively that are unique for a guy in his position and his size. So we work hard every day in practice, and he knows the significance of that. And as the competition goes up, we have to be airtight defensively. Everybody does, because when you're not, it seems like good teams just take advantage of wherever you're weak. But he's moving in the right direction, and again, he showed that nice touch, and that move he made was beautiful when he drove and spun back.
Coach, if you could talk about Mamadi's performance tonight. Got off to a little bit of a slow start in the beginning of the season, but definitely looked better tonight with his shot and his aggressiveness.
Yeah, we just talked about Mamadi being active. That was his activity. And Mamadi can shoot the ball. He's worked hard on his outside shot, and we wanted to go into him. And I thought he was better today, and that's important for him. He's mobile, he's quick, and when he's locked in, he's a threat. To shoot the ball offensively, score down on the blocks, and then he can go out and, we like to impact ball screens and do things, and that quickness makes a difference. And he had a couple block shots. I didn't get a stat sheet, so I'm not sure how many blocks he had, but he seemed like he had 2, and he altered some.
Hey, Tony, what was it like to see DeAndre have the kind of game he had, especially after last game when he battled a little bit of foul trouble?
Yeah, well, he got in foul trouble again, so he didn't play that much, but he got off to a good start, knocking down the 3, and that just opens up his game. But I thought he was, as I mentioned before, assertive, but still he had the right balance. Some guys, they try to get on track and they just get real aggressive and they drive the pile or they take rush shots. But I thought he let the game come, but took what was there and had the right kind of assertiveness with poise, and that was good. And of course, it always looks good when you're knocking down threes. I know that, but that was good because he can get to the mid-range too and shoot.
I have to ask about Grant playing in that dress, making that three-pointer.
Does he maybe earn a no? That was great for him to knock that down, and that's so valuable. And I told those guys, play the possessions, play the possession. Don't worry about the score for guys like Cody and Marco, and I wanted to see Mamadi and Jay in there. So it was very valuable for all those guys. But then you have to get Grant in there, and he took that shot like he knew it was going in. And Austin Castro, he's not bashful either. I think he gets that from his dad. If he sees an open look, it's going up. But I liked that was great, Grant. That was great to see, and I think that was the loudest I heard the crowd.
Tony, back here. You've had 3 games now, plus the scrimmages, to look at these different lineups, all the different. How do you think that tinkering and just trying out different lineups has? What have you liked so far from what you've seen?
Yeah, I think I said before. Whether Mamadi comes off the bench or starts, Kihei, you could consider him. He's getting starter minutes. And Jay, in some ways, is not far behind. But you have 7 guys that I think are legitimate starters, Jay being maybe that 8th. And a lot of it depends on matchups, how guys practice, what we need. But that's, to me, maybe it's not as insignificant to the players. But starting is just, can you play? How are you doing in the game? So that's the versatility that's good, and I was good to see with Jack being out with his back, Mamadi to step up and give us that lift that we needed right out of the gates.
When London first arrived here, he struggled in his first few games from 3. When London
Okay.
arrived.
We're going way back.
Going way back.
Let's talk about London. I love London.
Do you see any, in the press conferences, you always said, this guy can shoot, he's just missing the threes. Do you see any similarities between him and Kihei, who was 0 for 7 coming into tonight before hitting those 3 in the first half? Is there anything that you see between the two of them that have similarities in their game?
Well, they're both from California, Los Angeles. I see that. They both got kind of big hair. No, I actually, when I recruited, London's story is great. When I recruited Kihei, he's obviously not as tall, but that feel and that ability to just see things. Kihei makes usually big shots and tough shots. I think London's maybe shot was a little further along than Kihei's. But Kihei, you watch him in the Peach Jam finals. I think he made 3 or 4 big threes. I can't remember exactly. But he can stick the shot. And they were laying off. They decided, all right, we're going to play the stats. We're going to, let him shoot those. And I thought all of them, but maybe one were okay shots, and maybe one he could have passed up and moved it. But for him to see the ball go through the net was important. And I think he's quick. He can touch the paint. He can guard the ball. And as his shot, he needs to keep improving it. But it's not like he can't make those. So there'll be games where he's going to ring up a few of them, and then they'll have to come out. And I think he took, for the most part, the right ones. But I think London maybe, in all honesty, was a little bit ahead of him with his outside shot.